It is a great pleasure, Tuanku, Your Royal Highnesses, to come to this function. We are all so overwhelmed by Your Highness's presence and also for Your Highness's blessings on my huge family in this hall. I've just asked Tuanku that I be given permission to speak a bit long, because I'm an old school teacher and I'm used to talking and talking and talking. And Tuanku said yes, today I would get special permission to say more than a few words. I'd like to mention a lot of names, but I wouldn't do that. First of all, I must thank our son, Ramli Othman, who did the dua. He's an imam in the mosque, and he was also one of my hostel students. I was so particularly pleased that Ramli did the dua salamat. And I have here as the MC, Saleh Yop, who used to cycle long distances from Uluchepo to study economics and be in the school. His life dramatically changed, and today he's a great person and has a distinction of working with young Berhormat Mulia Tunku Razali in many places. He has told me such wonderful stories, these two wonderful sons of this nation. The choir, as you heard, was so beautiful. Dato Ghazali Yusuf sang so beautifully. He used to sing like that in class and serenaded to Hatija, whom he finally married. He used to take a flower and he used to say, I love you not, and love you, and manipulate it with the ending, I love you. And finally he married Hatija. They're such beautiful people. And the other people who sang in the choir too, Shakavi and the rest, and Adi Chin, the person who rang Edelweiss, came to our son, who passed away, was a doctor. We had a prayer ceremony. He came uninvited and stood up to sing a song for him. All those present cried. That is the measure of these people have been doing today. And ladies and gentlemen, you heard Noraiza Hamid, the beautiful English she spoke. She was always a darling in the class and continues to be a darling. There's no doubt about that. Now, Tuanku, may I please address my family. My sons and daughters, this is a great moment for all of us. Ours was a love story, and the catalyst was economics. I came out of university and I was asked to start the first economics class in the country at Anderson School. With Tuanku's permission, I'd like to mention my first 5 students. Aziza, now Puan Sri, I wonder if she's here, wife of Tan Sri Murad. Then there was Khair Muhammad, the musician. Then there was the diplomat, Ismail Muhammad, I don't know whether he's here, Ismail Muhammad. And then Lo Weng Fong and Tai So Sim, the headmistress. These were the first 5 students that taught economics. Then came waves and waves of students from Kedah, Kelantan, Johor, almost everywhere. It was indeed a blessing from God, for their lives mingled with ours, and we became a great family. This family grew, and in addition to studying the subject, we also taught such wonderful values. Lee Kim Boon, who sang just now, reminded me the other day that I used to ask them to look at a mirror and ask themselves, what are they here for? What is the purpose of life? What they should do? This all came naturally because in those days, teachers had nothing to do but to teach. We went to school in the morning, we went in the afternoon, we even went at night to do library classes. We didn't have TV, and we had almost nothing else to do but our precious children. I always thought about children as given in trust. The other day when I went to help launch Tun Ahmad Sarji's book, Given in Trust, I remembered that that was my motto all my life. We also taught our boys and girls to serve the people. The thing was, serve man, serve God. And our students grew up and they went into all kinds of, I taught economics for 20 years at Anderson School. And I'm very proud to say that my wonderful, intelligent children, not one of them failed in economics in those 20 years at a Cambridge School examination. Because they were such wonderful children. Then Tun Hamdan, for a special reason, asked me to go to Scholar Idrisha Goping, where there were 2,400 pupils, students. That was a different experience. Poor children from Malay villages, all kinds of villages nearby, Gunung Panjang and Sungai Ite and all that. Children from new villages, children from the mining areas, children from estates. These children were a different brand. They were poor. They didn't have money. But I had a wonderful set of teachers, a great family. But so dedicated teachers no headmaster can dream of. With their teaching, that 2 years after I went, the school attained the best results in the whole country, even above Victoria Institution. I was just like a father to my teachers, and I used to tell them, don't misuse your trust. If we make one mistake with our children, we'll be ruining somebody's life. Please don't. And I must here think of those wonderful teachers who worked with me day and night just to see that our children have come up. All these children, after graduation, went into their chosen occupations with ease and with resilience. You would have noticed the resilience today. And they did so well, our children. They all made a name for themselves. And I like to say here a Tamil saying. The Tamil saying says, the water that is irrigated to the paddy, to the rice fields, also benefits the grass that grows on the banks, on the batas. So my wife and I have been like the grass. And these wonderful children who rose to glory, their glory also reflected on us. For every time we see one of our sons, one of our daughters doing well, we felt so very, very happy because our children have done so well. Similarly, our daughters, Malini and Nalina, God has given them very good husbands. And they live beautiful lives. Although they have flown wings. We take it as we go because, as Khalil Gibran says, all our children have only been on loan to us. So when they are grown up, let them fly, let them go where they want. As a matter of fact, our son, the doctor, is now in heaven doing new assignments with his Lord Creator. So our students have done so extremely well in every field. For example, there have been so many state secretaries, one after another, starting with Dr. Osman Talib and so on. And as we went along, there was Dr. Sri Khalil Hussain, Radin Sonano, so many of them, one after another who became state secretaries. And there were chief secretaries, starting with Tan Sri Salehuddin, Tun, Ahmad Sarji. In the legal service, so many of them, from Chief Justice to so many appeals court judges, there are some today here, and various people. A little girl, Ainun Said, whom they used to call Chili Padi in school, grew up and became the first lady attorney general in the country. And now I'm told she disciplines the judges. Tremendous, because she's so small. And as we went on, almost in every service, Tansi Noraiza Hamid, the first lady Chansri from Anderson School. And as we went along, there were so many positions they occupied. At one stage, we had a chief secretary, we had the head of the armed forces, we had the head of the Air Force. Lieutenant General Jonas Tase is here. I can see his head shining. in the light. And we also had the head of the Navy, Ramli, and also the Inspector General of Police, Tansri Bakri Omar. These all came up, and still they were men of great integrity, of great honesty, people who never forgot their beginnings and knew where they were going, always listening to their inner self and answering to their God. This was the caliber of these wonderful people whom you have seen, what they can do today. Then as time went on, people in Goping, they too came up. I have had students like Dr. Chin Mei Chin, I think she's here, who is now quite a big shot in the Ministry of Education. Like that also, so many of them came up. And I used to tell my children, please always give back to society what you have received from them. And that's what they're doing. For example, Mahanum Itam, she's here, runs an orphanage for Anana Yatim, for 60 of them, in Chendrong Balai. And quite a bit of money comes from Andersonians. And then there is Ghazali and Hatija and Chin Nyuk Fu, who work with children with rare diseases. And there this couple, Angelic Khatija and Seki, who work with cancer patients. Yesterday we happened to be eating somewhere, so we asked that couple to join us. And the husband, Seki, said, one of us have got to be at home. Only one can come. I said, why? Because the cancer patients will be coming to our house. And actually I've met some of his patients. And they're all recovering with their herbs, with their exercise, and the wonderful things these people are doing. These are only a few examples of what our wonderful students are doing to give back. In Goping, our students have also been giving back. They are returning, reinventing Goping. They're giving Goping a new life. They have started a museum on their own. It's a beautiful museum. All money coming from them. They have started a heritage house, and 3 groups run 3 beautiful resorts. Rainforest Resort, Adeline's Resort, and a young man who was in the Navy, Mohammad Marzuki, and his wife Noor Hayati run the Kundur Resort. Beautiful, with the lake and all that. I cannot explain this. They're bringing people back to Goping, and because they feel they have to do something for this, for where they came from. When I first came to Anderson School, one of my students was a girl called Zahara Tulain, who is now in the United Kingdom. She is the daughter of Allah Yarham Dr. Haji Abdul Wahab. Because of her, I met this patriot and came to know him very well. He was followed by so many Andersonians of distinction. And I felt that this wonderful people's life should not go unrecorded. And hence, we all got down to write a book called The Journey of the Andersonians. And in that book, we managed to get about 1,001 Andersonians' lives recorded. I'm hoping younger Andersonians will write some more books. And in that book, we have got the biography of so many remarkable people. And when you look at the book, it's like who's who. These wonderful people who came out of Anderson School and contributed so much, especially after we got independence, to mold a fledgling nation. We molded our students to be honest and also to be multiracial, not to look at color, creed, or religion, to look at the love in their hearts. And that's exactly what you have been seeing today. It brought tears into my eyes. There were so many moments, these tears came out of my eyes. I dare not do that in front of our beloved Tuanku. But it was like that. I cannot imagine how they ever organized a thing like this. Then, while we were going on, Professor Shaharuddin rang me and told me that they wanted to write a book. My exact words were, I am a very low-key person. Don't worry about all this. But no. came a little girl called Rokia Talib. She's a little girl in the class, very shy. She grew up to become the professor of social anthropology and sociology. And she's got a remarkable husband in Dr. Tajuddin Jali. And she came on the phone. And then she bantered me, she'll drop in the house, she'll do all kinds of things. And then I told her one day, instead of my being your old teacher, now you become my headmistress. And you're all the time telling me to do things, do this, and do that, and so on. And finally, she and her committee got down to writing a book, and which you saw our beloved Tuanku launched today. I'm very happy to see so many of you, including Dato Sri Chan Sik Yong, the Chief Justice of Singapore, and his charming wife Elizabeth, come to this occasion. For he belonged to a vintage class of 1957, from where came such brilliant students, Tun Ahmad Sarji, Dato Sri Chan Sik Yong himself, Ng Yuk Woon, a barrister, who is actually my wife's and my guardian now. Every other day he'll ring us up to find out whether we are still around. And so many of them came out, 2 police officers, Asiya Ibrahim, who went to Buckingham Palace and wrote to me how she met the Queen. That is the measure of the relationship between our students and myself. So ladies and gentlemen, my children, my sons and daughters, this is how it all worked out. And today, the book has been written, and as I was telling Noraiza and others, that I'm really scary of the whole function. But thank God, the way Tuanku received us, the way Tuanku spoke to me, gave me so much courage to face such an auspicious function. You have done extremely well. You have actually helped to mold this nation. You have been ambassadors. You've been all over the place. And you have also been in the World Bank, because amongst you are such eminent bankers in this country. You've been to the United Nations. You've done almost everything. It's a tremendous thing. I would only wish that all of you will contribute your best to keep our nation happy, strong, and harmonious.